Saturday. 300 rockets crossed into Israeli airspace from 3 separate launch zones in southern Lebanon. Iron Dome engaged. 83% interception rate. IDF called it operational success. The preliminary assessment released Thursday describes something completely different. While Iron Dome was processing those 300 threats across 90 minutes, Iranian electronic warfare units were running the most sophisticated air defense mapping operation the region has seen in 2 decades. The document is public. Here is what it actually shows. If you have been tracking this conflict daily, you have been watching rocket counts and interception percentages. The coverage has been focused entirely on what Iron Dome stopped. What the IDF preliminary assessment confirms, and what U.S. Central Command situation reports corroborate, is that the rockets were not the operation. They were the diagnostic instrument. The electronic warfare activity that ran simultaneously is what changes the entire picture. Military analysts who understand integrated air defense systems recognized it immediately. The 300 rocket barrage was not designed to overwhelm Iron Dome. It was designed to make Iron Dome perform successfully under multi-vector stress, so that every decision the system made under pressure could be recorded, timed, and mapped. What is at stake is not whether Israel can defend against rocket attacks. What is at stake is whether Iran now possesses the technical intelligence required to construct a precision strike package that exploits the exact gaps the Saturday operation was designed to reveal. If that kind of technical analysis is what you are looking for, not just what happened, but what it means for what comes next, subscribe to this channel right now and turn on notifications. We are going through this completely. Let us start with the IDF preliminary assessment released Thursday because it is the foundation of everything that follows. The assessment confirms an 83% interception rate across 3 engagement vectors over 90 minutes. That is within normal performance parameters for Iron Dome under saturation conditions. The document describes the engagement as operationally successful. Then, on page 4, the assessment includes a technical note that most coverage moved past entirely. During the engagement window, IDF electronic warfare monitoring units detected electromagnetic activity across 7 frequencies in Lebanese airspace that had not appeared in any previous Hezbollah rocket operation. The language is specific. The assessment does not say the activity was unexpected. It says the frequencies had not been detected before. The word choice matters. That is not describing a surprise. That is describing a capability that was deliberately not used in prior operations and was activated specifically during this one. The second piece comes from U.S. Central Command situation reports verified through defense intelligence channels. The electronic warfare signature detected during the 90-minute engagement window matches known Iranian reconnaissance and targeting system emissions profiles. Not Hezbollah, Iranian. The signature included active radar mapping, laser range-finding emissions, and data burst transmissions consistent with real-time battlefield intelligence collection. The transmission destinations were not southern Lebanon. The data was routed north. The assessment language is careful, but the conclusion is unavoidable. While Iron Dome was engaging 300 rockets, Iranian intelligence units were recording how the system prioritized threats, how quickly batteries handed off targets, and where engagement envelopes overlapped or left gaps. The scale of the operation is the third piece, and it closes the argument. The 300 rockets were not launched from a single location. They came from 3 zones separated by 47 kilometers. The geographic spread was not random. The launch zones were positioned to create overlapping engagement envelopes that forced Iron Dome batteries to deconflict in real time. When multiple batteries have potential engagement authority over the same incoming threat, the system has to decide which battery takes the shot. That deconfliction happens through algorithms that prioritize based on intercept geometry, remaining interceptor inventory, and threat vector. Those algorithms are the most closely guarded operational details of the entire system. On Saturday, Iron Dome executed those algorithms successfully across 90 minutes of sustained multi-vector pressure, and every decision the system made was observable to an adversary running the right collection apparatus. Iran was running the right collection apparatus. But the story has one more layer that changes entirely how this reads. The rockets are not the intelligence. The response is the intelligence. What the coverage is missing completely is that successful air defense operations are intelligence-exposing events. Every time a system like Iron Dome performs as designed, it teaches an observer how it thinks. The system has to make decisions. It has to prioritize. It has to allocate limited interceptors against multiple threats. It has to hand off targets between batteries. It has to manage magazine depth. Every one of those decisions is visible to an adversary with the technical collection capability to observe the engagement. The decision architecture, how the system prioritizes, how fast it hands off, where it positions reserves, is the intelligence. And Iron Dome performed that decision architecture successfully for 90 minutes under observation. Here is the framework that makes this readable. When a military system performs successfully under stress, it reveals exactly how it prioritizes threats. And that priority architecture is itself intelligence. In the current operation, that framework explains what Iran gained. Iron Dome successfully intercepted 83% of 300 rockets fired from 3 geographically separated zones. To do that, the system had to reveal which threats it engaged first, which batteries took which shots, and how it managed interceptor inventory across a sustained timeline. An adversary recording that performance now knows how to construct a follow-on attack that exploits the revealed priority structure. If you know Iron Dome prioritizes threats by intercept geometry, you design your next attack to create geometries the system cannot optimize. If you know how fast batteries hand off targets, you design your attack timeline to arrive during the handoff window. The successful defense is what makes the next attack possible. The same framework appears in the 2022 Ukrainian air defense response to Russian cruise missile attacks on energy infrastructure in November of that year. Ukrainian S-300 and NASAMS batteries successfully intercepted 70+% of incoming cruise missiles across multiple waves. The interceptions were operationally successful. They were also intelligence exposing. Russian forces observed which targets Ukrainian air defense prioritized, how the systems allocated interceptors, and where coverage gaps appeared under sustained pressure. The follow-on attacks in December and January targeted the gaps the November defense had revealed. The mechanism is identical. Successful defense under observation creates the map for the next defense. What to watch for using this framework is whether the defending force changes its operational posture after an intelligence-exposing event. If Israel rotates Iron Dome battery positions in the next 72 hours, that tells you IDF understands the exposure and is implementing operational security changes. If battery positions remain static, that tells you either Israel assesses the intelligence exposure as manageable or is deliberately maintaining posture as a signal of confidence. Either way, the framework tells you what the posture change means. Static deployment after an intelligence exposing event is a strategic choice, not an oversight. The choice communicates something about how Israel assesses the threat and how much operational flexibility it believes it retains. The mechanism exists because modern air defense is automated decision-making, operating on observable principles. The system cannot defend without revealing how it defends. Radar emits. Interceptors launch on visible trajectories. Batteries are in fixed or semi-fixed positions. Engagement envelopes are geometric. Every decision the system makes is a physical event that can be timed, recorded, and analyzed. The more sophisticated the system, the more sophisticated the decision-making, and the more valuable the intelligence that successful operation reveals. Iron Dome is among the most sophisticated tactical air defense systems ever fielded. Its successful operation under multi-vector saturation pressure is an intelligence event of the first order for any adversary with the collection capability to exploit it. Iran has that collection capability. Saturday confirmed they are using it. The mechanism explains the current defensive posture. What it means for the decisions Israel and Iran make in the next 2 weeks is the harder question. If this analysis is giving you what the daily coverage is missing, subscribe to this channel right now. Share this with someone who is trying to understand what is actually happening. We are not done. The closest historical parallel is not the 2006 Hezbollah rocket campaigns. It is Soviet probing operations against NATO integrated air defense in the Baltic from 1982 through 1984. During that period, Soviet aircraft conducted repeated incursions into NATO radar coverage zones along the Norwegian and Danish coasts. The incursions were not designed to penetrate. They were designed to activate NATO radar systems and observe how the integrated air defense network responded. Which radars lit up first? How fast fighter intercepts were scrambled? What the handoff protocols looked like between national air defense sectors. The probing operations were intelligence collection operations disguised as routine military activity. The patterns started small: single aircraft, predictable routes. NATO responded with standard intercept procedures. As the probing continued, the Soviets escalated. Multiple aircraft from multiple vectors. Flights timed to coincide with NATO exercises when the integrated air defense system was under higher operational tempo. The goal was not to provoke a crisis. The goal was to make NATO air defense perform under stress so that the performance could be mapped. And it worked. By 1984, Soviet intelligence had developed detailed assessments of NATO radar coverage, fighter response timelines, and gaps in the integrated air defense network along the northern flank. The parallel is not that Hezbollah is Soviet and Israel is NATO. The parallel is that probing operations designed to force a defense system to perform successfully are intelligence collection operations, not kinetic operations. The mechanism is identical. Apply pressure, observe response, map the architecture. The 300 rocket barrage on Saturday was not a kinetic attack that failed because Iron Dome intercepted 83%. It was a diagnostic operation that succeeded because Iron Dome performed exactly as designed under observable conditions. What is different now versus the 1980s Baltic is the technical fidelity of the collection capability. Soviet probing operations relied on radar warning receivers, signal intelligence aircraft, and human observation of fighter response timelines. The data was useful but coarse. Modern electronic warfare collection, the capability Iran demonstrated Saturday, operates at a completely different level of precision. The system can record electromagnetic emissions across multiple frequencies simultaneously, correlate them with visual observation of interceptor launches, and reconstruct the decision-making timeline of the air defense network in near real time. The intelligence product is not an assessment, it is a map. Let us step back from the specific 300 rocket engagement and look at what this means for the larger trajectory. Here is what happens if Israel acknowledges the intelligence exposure and implements operational security protocol changes within 72 hours. In the next 48 hours, IDF rotates at least 3 Iron Dome battery positions currently deployed in northern Israel. The rotations are described as routine readiness cycling. They are not routine. They are operational security measures designed to invalidate the geographic data Iran collected Saturday. Batteries that were in mapped positions are moved. Batteries that were not active during the Saturday engagement are moved into active posture. The goal is to change enough variables that the intelligence Iran collected becomes partially obsolete before it can be operationally exploited. In the next 2 to 4 weeks, the operational security implementation expands. Iron Dome batteries begin operating under tighter emissions control protocols. Radar systems that were active continuously are shifted to intermittent operation. Mobile batteries that had been static for weeks are repositioned every 72 to 96 hours. The changes are not visible to the public, but they are visible to Iranian collection systems. The message is clear. Israel knows what Saturday was, understands what was exposed, and is taking steps to close the vulnerability. The question becomes whether Iran attempts a follow-on probing operation to test whether the changes actually closed the gaps or simply created new patterns to map. In the next 6 to 12 months, the strategic consequence of this path is that the air defense environment stabilizes at a higher operational security baseline. Israel has acknowledged the exposure and adapted. Iran has gained intelligence, but not enough to construct a high-confidence precision strike package. Both sides understand the other understands. The result is not de-escalation, but equilibrium. The probing continues, but at lower intensity. The adaptation continues, but incrementally. Neither side believes it has a decisive operational advantage. Deterrence holds. Here is what happens if Israel maintains current defensive posture as demonstration of confidence. In the next 48 hours, Iron Dome battery positions remain exactly where they were Saturday. No rotations, no repositioning. IDF public statements emphasize the 83% interception rate and describe the defensive operation as fully successful. The posture is a signal. Israel is communicating that it does not assess the intelligence exposure as operationally significant, or that it believes its air defense capability is robust enough that even with the exposure, Iranian strike options remain limited. In the next 2 to 4 weeks, Iran moves to exploitation. Intelligence units analyze the data collected Saturday and construct a strike package designed specifically to target the gaps the analysis reveals. The package is not 300 rockets. It is a layered operation. Drones on delayed flight paths to create initial radar activity. Cruise missiles timed to arrive during the engagement window when Iron Dome batteries are committed to the drone threats. Ballistic missiles launched from Iran, timed to arrive 30 seconds after the cruise missiles when interceptor magazines are depleted. The strike package is designed around the decision architecture Iron Dome revealed Saturday. The goal is not to overwhelm the system with volume. The goal is to arrive in the sequence and geometry the system cannot optimally engage. In the next 6 to 12 months, the strategic consequence of this path is a precision strike event that changes the escalation calculus. Israel's air defense performs, but not at the 83% level. Damage occurs. The question becomes whether Israel assesses the strike as a tactical event within the ongoing conflict or as a threshold crossing event that requires strategic retaliation. Iran has demonstrated that intelligence collection operations against air defense systems produce exploitable operational advantages. The incentive structure for both sides shifts. Every future engagement becomes an intelligence event. Every successful defense is a future vulnerability. The conflict escalates not because either side wants war, but because the intelligence environment makes restraint strategically costly. We are tracking every dimension of this here on this channel. Subscribe now and turn on notifications. The mainstream tells you what happened today. We tell you what it means for tomorrow. Iron Dome did not fail. It performed exactly as Iran needed it to. The system successfully intercepted 83% of 300 rockets under multi-vector saturation pressure, and in doing so revealed precisely how it makes decisions under stress. That decision architecture is now mapped. The question is not whether Israel can continue to defend against rocket attacks. The question is whether the intelligence Iran collected Saturday is sufficient to construct the precision strike the rockets were designed to enable. The rockets were the test. The strike is the application. The question that all of this leads to, and that the next 2 weeks will force an answer to, is whether Israel changes its operational posture or maintains it as a signal of confidence. Both options communicate something. Both options carry risk. In the next 48 hours, watch whether IDF rotates Iron Dome battery positions in northern Israel. If batteries currently deployed near Haifa, Kiryat Shmona, or Safed are relocated or replaced, that tells you Israel is implementing operational security measures to invalidate the intelligence Iran collected. The rotations will be described as routine readiness posture adjustments. They are not routine. They are admission through action that Saturday was an intelligence exposure event and that the exposure requires mitigation. If battery positions remain static, that tells you Israel is either assessing the intelligence exposure as manageable or is deliberately signaling confidence that its air defense capability remains robust even with the exposure. Neither interpretation is comforting. Both confirm that Saturday changed the operational picture. In the next week, watch whether U.S. Central Command deploys additional THAAD or Patriot batteries to Israel as capability supplementation. U.S. air defense deployments to the theater are not routine. They are responses to assessed capability gaps or elevated threat levels. If THAAD batteries currently stationed in Jordan or UAE are repositioned to Israeli territory, that tells you U.S. intelligence assessment concludes that Iron Dome's performance Saturday created exploitable vulnerabilities that require higher-tier defensive capability as backfill. The deployment will be described as scheduled readiness enhancement. The timing is not scheduled. The timing is responsive. In the next month, watch whether Iran or Hezbollah conducts a follow-on probing operation to verify whether Israeli defensive adjustments closed the mapped vulnerabilities or simply created new patterns to observe. If a second multi-vector rocket engagement occurs in late May with similar geographic spread and similar electronic warfare activity, that tells you Iran is running a verification operation. The goal is to determine whether Israel's operational security changes actually close the gaps, or whether the changes themselves reveal new decision-making architecture that can be mapped and exploited. The absence of a follow-on operation tells you something different. It tells you Iran assesses that the intelligence collected Saturday is sufficient to move to exploitation phase without further collection risk. When Iron Dome battery rotations begin, or when they do not, the analysis will be here. Not a summary, not a headline repeat. Evidence, assessment, what it means for the trajectory in that order. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. This analysis gives you the dimension the daily coverage skips. We do not tell you what officials said happened. We show you what the operational evidence confirms happened and what that means for the decisions both sides make next. The intelligence exposure event Saturday created is not resolved. It is developing. The next 72 hours determine whether Israel treats it as a vulnerability requiring mitigation or a demonstration of confidence requiring no operational change. Either path has a next step. Either path creates new risk. We are tracking both. The next development in this story is whether Israel's operational posture changes or remains static. That decision is the signal. We will break it down when it appears. Evidence first, analysis second. What it means for you, always. We will see you in the next. This is the channel.